10 brave and bloody years for Canada are over. Canadian combat troops in Afghanistan are ending a fight that has had profound costs, the lives, of course, of 157 Canadian men and women, and billions of dollars. That toll, all in the hopes of bringing peace to Afghans and security here at home. Canada's combat mission ended today when our soldiers handed over a Kandahar battlefield to U.S. troops. Canadian press reporter Murray Brewster was there as it happened. He joins me on the phone now from Kandahar. Murray, can you walk me through what you witnessed in the handover today?
Well, Suhana, what happened today was that the battle group, which has been fighting in the Panjwai district and Zari district west of Kandahar for pretty much the last 5.5 years, handed over its responsibilities to an incoming U.S. unit, the 3rd Battalion, 21st Infantry Regiment of the United States. And essentially what happened was that for the Canada's soldiers, frontline soldiers, the war is over. We still have some Canadian troops that are outside of the wire attached to U.S. platoons. We have a Canadian general that is still effectively in charge of a swath of Kandahar province right now, and will be for at least a few more days. But for the combat troops, the war is over.
And Murray, what's the significance, if you can tell me, of that handover taking place where it did at Masum Gar?
Well, Masum Gar is a operating base that has been the hub of Canadian activity throughout the war, but it does have a bit of a bloody history. In 2006, Canadian troops had to seize Masum Gar from the Taliban. In fact, in one battle on August the 19th, 2006, 3 Canadian soldiers won the 3rd highest decoration for bravery when they were completely surrounded by the Taliban. And the Canadians went back in force a few weeks later in the landmark battle Operation Medusa, and pretty much have launched almost all of the combat operations out of that forward operating base throughout the war. So ending it there had very, very deep significance for the Army.
You know, as a reporter there covering this story, Murray, you've heard so many different stories. Is there one in particular that stays in your head?
One particular story? I've been coming in and out of here for the last 5.5 years, Suhana, and I get there are a number of stories that stick with me, and most of them have to do with a lot of the incredible people that I've met, be them soldiers or diplomats and the development workers and ordinary Afghans. And it's the sort of I guess belief and the focus that they have had, all of these different people in what they've been trying to accomplish here. And what's kind of sad is that we're probably not going to know for about 5 years on whether any of what we have tried to accomplish as Canada as a nation, what the Army has tried to accomplish, what the development workers have tried to accomplish will actually be long-lasting. And it's something that preys on the minds of soldiers as they get on planes to come home.
Well, Murray, I wish you a safe flight home. I want to thank you for the time today.
Thank you, Suhana.
That's Canadian press reporter Murray Brewster in Kandahar. Earlier, we aired that report from Afghanistan on the end of the Canadian combat mission there. The Canadian Forces commander formally handed responsibility for the Western Kandahar district to American units. The transfer came at a place called Masum Gar. Susan Ormiston has spent quite a bit of time in the area over the years. Right now, she is in our London bureau.
It really represents the strength and the weakness of our entire mission there. It's in Panjwai district on the border of the Zari district, and this is where we spent an awful lot of our time fighting, and that's the point. Masum Gar, when I first visited it years ago, was a smaller forward operating base. Now it's grown into a great, big, very secure base not far from Panjwai Bazaar, the heart of the district. But all around it, Canada has still been fighting up to weeks ago, trying to keep the Taliban out of that area, push them back. And that's what we discovered in our most recent trip there, that we had seized ground, controlled ground, and then because of the small numbers of Canadian troops in Kandahar region over the last couple of years, we weren't able to stay in area. We had to move and then try to control another part of the province. So this was this one step forward, two steps back strategy or negotiation that didn't work particularly well, and it was only the surge of the Americans that came in the spring a year ago that was able to bolster the troops and put more boots on the ground and try to hold some of those areas. So very interesting place, Masamgar, you know, maybe 2 hours on bad roads from Kandahar city, not that far, but this is where the official handover took place today. The biggest measure for Afghans is security. So they look at this war and they say, as a result of the Western forces being there, are we more secure? And the answer for many of them is no, particularly in the southern part of the country. Many Afghans I spoke to over the years really have said they still fear for their lives. They still fear for their children going to school, that they will be blown up. And tragically, as the troops have become stronger and more fortified, the Taliban has turned against Afghan citizens with assassinations and suicide bombings, so that while Canada has lost 157 lives and 600 or more live with the injuries of this war, in the last 5 years, Afghan civilians, 10,000 of them have died. And they're looking at the future, 2014, as the rest of ISAF forces start to draw down with a great deal of foreboding and fear about what's going to happen.
That was Susan Ormiston in London.